Oh, hi. Didn't even see you there. Welcome to the Food and Movies Podcast. I'm your host, Paul, and I'm here with my friend, Jeremy.
This is the podcast where we examine the intersection between food and movies. We watch a lot of movies, and we talk about the food and the cuisine throughout.
So, Jer, how's your week going so far?
Oh, fantastic. Just great. Yeah.
Okay, for those who don't know, Jeremy was planning a trip to France and very irresponsibly got COVID.
Yeah.
Canceled the whole trip. Wife nearly divorced him. He almost died, and now we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
You're not a fan of hyperbole? What's wrong with you?
Wife is still with me, and it was like a pretty bad cold. I'll put it that way. But I wouldn't recommend getting COVID to, anyone.
All right, tough guy. Jer, what is the movie that we're reviewing and breaking down this week?
This one is one that I think you and I have been talking about since we kind of had the idea to do this podcast, mainly because of there's kind of one big food scene within it that we both really love. It is Goodfellas, Martin Scorcese.
Martin Scorcese, the GOAT, one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT.
One of the GOATs, for sure.
You're going one of the GOATs, okay.
Of mob movies or of movies in general?
Movies in general.
Yeah, I would actually say one of the GOATs of both, because I'm not sure that he makes...
Well, if not Scorsese, who is the GOAT of mob movies? I think it might be Scorsese.
Yeah, no, it's got to... Yeah, I'd say
it has to be.
He's the GOAT of mob movies, one of the GOATs of general film.
Movies.
General movies.
Okay, let's talk about Scorsese's GOATness. GOAT of mob movies, that's one. Neck and neck with Wood... No, he's not the GOAT of New York movies. Woody Allen's the GOAT of New York movies.
Yeah.
That's fair, right?
Yeah.
But Scorsese is number 2 behind Woody Allen, I feel like.
New York movies?
Yeah.
Who directed Made in Manhattan?
Was it me? Did I do it?
Yeah. So Woody Allen, Scorsese.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I'll take it, man. I'll take second place to Woody Allen, between Woody Allen. If I want to be the meat in the sandwich of Woody Allen and Scorsese,
hey, that's quite a nice sandwich.
Call me bologna, bro.
You're learning something about film in that sandwich.
Oh man!
But mob movies. What? Let's quickly. This is off the cuff here, but
yes.
What are your top? Give me your top 5 or top 3, depending on your top 5. Let's see.
Mob movies?
Yeah.
Wow. Godfather.
Okay.
That'd be number 1.
That's the GOAT.
Godfather Part 2 is number 2.
Wow.
No, wait. No, sorry. Godfather Part 2 is number 1. Godfather is number 2.
Okay, so you like 2 more than 1.
Yeah. 2 was it was a better technical movie.
It was cool. It was a great movie, yeah.
Oh, phenomenal. Then we got to go... I think we got to go Goodfellas. Casino after that, I believe. What other mob movies are there? Oh, Miller's Crossing.
Miller's Crossing.
Sorry, Miller's Crossing is before Goodfellas. So after Godfather 2, Miller's Crossing, then Goodfellas, then... Casino. I think so. I think that's the list. I think that's my list. What's yours?
So Godfather...
If not that.
Godfather 2, I completely agree with you. Better. Just the best of the 3. Donnie Brasco.
Deep hipster cut. Nice.
Donnie Brasco is a great mob movie. It's also a bit of a cop movie, but it's more a mob movie.
Yeah.
Then I would go Goodfellas.
Respect.
Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's weird because Casino and Goodfellas, I like Goodfellas more. I've always liked Goodfellas more. But there are scenes in Casino that I love. Like Pesci, spoiler alert, Pesci getting whacked in that cornfield in Casino is just one of the hardest to watch scenes in film history for me, but also just like what, you know, like those scenes where you're like,
oh, you never forget them. They traumatize you a little bit because you think about them every night. You get a flashback every now and then, you know?
Yeah.
When he gets the baseball bats, that has stood with me all these years, actually. Yeah.
It's a rough film.
But I have noticed that you've mentioned traumatizing deaths before, like in Pulp Fiction, the traumatizing death of Flock of Seagulls guy. Do you think this is something that it seems to be a recurring theme with you? Is it something that really affects you? Do you think more than most? Do you think you're a little bit more sensitive to it?
No, I think it's probably a product of my desensitization to it. I think that I've seen so many movies where, you know, they're like the shoot 'em up movies and people are getting shot and, you know, Broken Arrow, John Travolta takes a thermonuclear device through the body like that. It's like, that's cool. And, or, you know, I don't know why that just came to mind, but like, or, you know, the end of GoldenEye when he drops him off the thing, and it's like, oh, cool. But then when there are these deaths where it's like very kind of up close and real, and they've built the character a certain way, and you kind of have this love-hate relationship with the character, except for Flock of Seagulls. That was just a cold-hearted death. But like,
it is the more malevolent and cold, the more disturbing it is, I feel like.
Yeah.
Do you remember in The Piano? Have you seen the movie The Piano? The Pianist, sorry. The Pianist.
The Pianist, yes.
Yeah, with Brody, when the German guy is just randomly grabbing dudes at a line, telling them to lie down, and then he just methodically shoots each. That one stood with, because he had to reload the gun to shoot the last guy. That one stayed with me for a long time. Yeah.
And that, like, there are just certain deaths in certain movies that are a little bit more real to me, and a little bit more like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, ever since Bambi's mom got it to the dome in that movie, I think selective violence creates a bond with a film that kind of stays with you. You know what I mean? Like, if specifically used, it affects you in a way that really bonds you to the movie, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, Goodfellas, let's discuss it. Let's get into it. Tell me your experience, your first reactions when you saw it. Let's go. Let's do this.
The first time I saw it, I was pretty young, and I probably didn't get the nuance of it. I've seen it so many times, right? This is one of those movies you can watch as many times as you want, and it's still good. Having watched it recently and having watched it kind of with a fine-tooth comb, I still love it. I still think it's a fantastic movie. I still think it's a very Scorsese style movie. And if you've seen a lot of his other movies like Casino and Wolf of Wall Street specifically are very similar in the way they're built. Wolf of Wall Street almost mirrors it in a lot of ways. That's actually a very good observation. The similar pacing, tone, style, just like just a continuous, like, this is a movie, like a long movie trailer style of filmmaking. Yeah, and it's that old story of everything's going great until it's not. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a very classic film story arc that, you know, this is great, everything's awesome, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Oh, you're doing something stupid. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Right?
I do think that you're right. Wolf of Wall Street is a spiritual sequel to Goodfellas, just for all those reasons. It seems very similar. The bones seem similar.
Yeah. And I mean, and Scorsese knows how to tell that story. He knows how to build you up that way, and he knows how to, you know, set you down. Another movie that does this well is Blow with Johnny Depp. Everything's going great. You're selling the cocaine. You're selling the cocaine.
Yeah.
Don't tell that guy that thing. Don't do something stupid. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. It's, I would love to see a drug dealer movie or a mob movie where the hero just gets away clean. Like, everything's cool.
Yeah.
You know, I got my money. I'm rich now.
Yeah.
I've got 17 wives in Guatemala. You know, I run this town. And, I'm glad I made my decisions. I don't regret anything. Life is good. Everyone should be a drug dealer is the message of this movie. You know?
Interestingly enough, all three movies, Blow, Wolf of Wall Street, Goodfellas, based on true stories. Right.
Yeah, Casino
So,
as well.
so if there's a life lesson here, it's when everything is going really good, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't
Get
don't
out.
do,
Just
don't do,
get out of
don't
there.
make a stupid decision. Just make the right
Yeah.
decision every time. Don't shoot yourself in the foot, and you'll still be riding this wave all the way up.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. You know,
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about knowing when to cut, just get out. Just,
Yeah.
you know, you've been at the table this long, you're on a good winning streak, cash your chips in and just get out of there, man. Retire. We're good.
Kenny Rogers said it best. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right?
Yeah,
And that's our first Kenny Rogers quote.
absolutely.
Probably will be our last.
Yeah. My first impressions of Goodfellas, I was way too young, and I didn't see it until much later when I got into movies when I was a teenager that I saw it. But the thing is, I'd already seen Casino at that point.
Okay.
So for some reason, Goodfellas to me didn't seem as good as Casino because it felt like it was kind of ripping off Casino a little bit.
Right.
It felt like a Casino sequel, so it diminished it in my mind somewhat. But watching it back this time, I think it raised it. It's back up there in my mind, above Casino now. Just I've had enough time to kind of reflect and look at it from afar, and man, I was so impressed with it. Oh God, it's so good. There's certain people out there who are so good at what they do that you almost have to look at them like in awe. Like, Is this person real? Is this like you think that they're almost godlike in their ability to do what they do?
Yeah.
You know, you see it with Messi when he plays football or McDavid when he plays hockey and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are some humans on this earth that are just when the perfect human who has the exact right potential to do something and then pursues that thing and it works out and you watch them do it, it's a real privilege. It's a real privilege to be able to see someone just at the top of their game.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's it, right? It's like it's Federer, it's Jordan, it's Messi, you know, Scorcese. He's so good at building up building suspense and telling a story and kind of leading you one way and throwing you another way and giving you giving you what you want as you go through as well, like giving you these little breadcrumbs that are like, oh, that is, I like that. Let's keep going down that road. Oh, I didn't want to go down that road. That got dark. He'll lead you there. And once you're there, you may not like it, like in Casino, when he leads you right into that cornfield and you're like, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But then he holds your hand through it. You get through it, and you're better for it in the end.
But Scorsese, the pace of Casino is it's so relentless. It almost seems like a movie made for millennials. It's going so fast, and it's like a train that just keeps moving and moving until it spins off the tracks. So very modern for a film made back in the 80s, I think.
But it doesn't skimp out on details. There are little details in that movie that are so, you'd miss them if you weren't paying attention. And we say this about a lot of movies we watch, but, just little things in the food they're cooking, in the way they talk, like Paul Sorvino, whenever he's beautiful, that's beautiful. Like that's just really like classic mobster, but just such a little nuance. He could have been like, that's beautiful. But he always said it deliberately, beautiful.
And also, I think very underrated as far as movies go is the set decoration and all the tiny details, which are real. They actually place those things in the frame. And when you look at it, every scene, every frame, it's so packed with detail. That level of detail is it's an unsung hero, I think, in this movie, and it should be observed in other movies, which is not a lot of. I think that the set deck looked so real and so specific to that time. It was truly amazing. Good movie, eh?
Yeah, great film. We should get into it. I think there's going to be one thing I do that's going to really annoy you. Every time we talk about a scene that has a Sopranos character in it, I'm probably going to call that character out.
Oh, you do that already, and I love it. I think it's a great part of the culture of the show at this point.
Because to be honest with you, this movie has pretty much like 60% of The Sopranos in it.
Yeah,
So,
I think that was by design that The Sopranos purposely did that, right?
well, yeah, I also think that there's a pool of actors that play these roles, and a lot of them, tend to get a lot of different movies.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else to say about Goodfellas before we get into the food, Jer?
No, let's do it.
Okay, so now we will break down all of the food in Goodfellas chronologically and see where we net out culinarily and cinematically, and how more pretentious I can get with my categorizations. So, starting at minute 2, Henry, we're going through Henry's childhood. And just so everyone at home understands, this is a movie about Henry Hill. It's his memoir of growing up in a gangster neighborhood, becoming a gangster, and then spoiler alerts, everybody. You should see the movie by now. If not, why listen to this podcast? He ends up turning state's evidence and becoming an informant for the FBI. So
A rat.
It's a rat. It's a wild ride, and as Scorsese himself described on the Wikipedia page, he wanted to make a full-length movie trailer, which is just relentless in its pace. And he drew a lot from one of my favorite movies. I'd say top 5 movie for me, Jules and Jim, this Francois Truffaut film. If you haven't seen that movie, please do. It is absolutely delightful. One of the best pieces of filmmaking of all time. But liberal use of voiceover and montage editing and music to just push this baby just right at us for over 2 hours felt like 15 minutes, as far as I'm concerned. But as we start off this race to the finish, Scorsese starts it off in part of the childhood montage of Henry, minute 2, having breakfast with the fam, traditional American breakfast, grabs a bag lunch, runs out the door. Is there anything more American than that scene right there?
I mean, if they'd had flags and apple pie, maybe it would have been more American, but this is the typical American morning breakfast with the family, grab the bag on the way out the door. Replace it with a lunchbox and it could maybe get more American, but I think the dude, his working class father, probably had a lunchbox prepared for him. Big, pail. Sturdy, manly, can knock out like a mugger with this thing if you wanted to. Boom. Anyway, moving on. Minute 6. Young Henry, who looks like a teenager at this point, is making a sandwich. Yeah.
One of my favorite foods, possibly my favorite food. Also have a YouTube channel dedicated to sandwiches. So me personally, very attached to sandwiches. His father confronts him with a letter from school that he's not been attending school, so they sent a letter to him. And his father proceeds to beat the crap out of him before Henry can finish making his sandwich, which makes it makes it doubly traumatic because didn't get to finish your sandwich.
Yeah, and I don't know. I never want to get hit with a belt, not even for fun.
No,
it looks painful.
Wait a sec. Hold on a sec. No. Yeah.
Huh?
Yes. Any thoughts on Henry getting his ass whipped by his dad?
Not really. More on the sandwich. Did we get a glimpse of what that was? It looked like maybe like a bologna or a mortadella.
Yeah, it looked like some kind of a cold cut with mustard. Pretty simple. Kid sandwich, young guy sandwich.
Good.
Yeah.
Which is like that. That's the gateway sandwich when you're a kid. You don't know how to make a sandwich. It's like 2 pieces of white bread, the mayonnaise, the turkey, the piece of cheese. Forget lettuce because we don't eat that. And then just get that in you. That's not a good sandwich, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, terrible sandwiches. A bad sandwich makes me so frustrated and sad because whether a sandwich is good or bad, it's just filled with carbs and calories. So you're just wasting those carbs and calories, man, on a non-delicious sandwich.
Yeah.
Take some time. Toast the outside of the bread,
Toast it.
Put some condiments on there. Do something.
Use an interesting bread. I get it. I like a good white bread as much as the next guy. But
sure.
Get a little grain in there. Try something new. Spice it up. Marble rye bread. God, get involved in rye.
Shout out to rye bread, man.
Rye is the gateway to the other breads, right? Like it's a little bit
yes.
It's a little bit dangerous. It's a little bit little different, but it's not too
texture is a little bit tougher, you know, it's not quite as spongy.
It has its flavor. It has a bit of flavor. Yep. And then there's the whole sourdough phenomenon, which I'm not entirely against, because I got a couple friends that got in on it, and they make great sourdough, and I've been enjoying good sourdough.
Man, what happened in the white lady community with sourdough during COVID? They all started making sourdough like a bunch of witches. Are they all witches?
I don't know.
Why are they doing this?
I don't know. It just seemed like it became like one of those foodie phenomenons. And I have a buddy.
Did your wife do it?
No,
she did not. Okay.
I've been playing with.
Oh, but your wife is Asian though, right? Half. Okay. If she was full white, 37% chance she did it.
Yeah, but a lot of dudes got into it too. Like I had been dabbling in sourdough for years. Like bread making is something I like to do, but I've never really mastered sourdough. It's hard. It's not an easy thing to do.
That's why it became so popular, because it was a difficult kind of like, it was a whole process to it, which was very...
You have to care for the culture and all that stuff. And I have a buddy who's like a fireman, and he's been doing it for years. Like he's like, he didn't get in on this pandemic stuff. He's been into it for years.
He was doing it before it was cool? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. He's a sourdough hipster.
Right.
And he's been, you know, he makes a good sourdough too. So yeah, if you're making a sandwich, use a good bread, you know, play with the mustard a bit. You know, if you have to use mayonnaise, please use mayonnaise. I'm not against mayonnaise. Consider toasting the bread or grilling it. Consider it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Might do something, you know?
Spice up your sandwich. Throw a little spinach in there. Lettuce, you know.
Pesto, perhaps, or some kind of maybe like a spread. Maybe avocado. Like even just one avocado in a relatively mundane sandwich can elevate it, I feel like.
Yeah.
First food porn episode in the movie is at minute 8. We go to Paulie in the backyard. Sausage and peppers cooked on the outdoor grill. 4 sandwiches. They specify that. They're cooking all kinds of condiments. They're with the onions. They're grilling the onions. This was definitely food porn. It panned right very close to the sausages. You can hear the sound. The sound sizzling was in your ear.
It's like early ASMR.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And it looked good. In this scene,
it really did. Yeah.
In this scene, just Sopranos shout out, Tony Sirico, recently passed. Paulie Walnuts. He's in
R.I.P. Paulie Walnuts.
He's in a couple of the early scenes. Great actor. Actually was a mobster in real life for many years. Went to prison and then got out of prison and became an actor in mob movies. But just thought I'd call him out in this scene. He's kind of the first Sopranos guy you see in Goodfellas.
Okay, that was an awesome scene. I feel like Chris Farley in that SNL sketch. Remember those sausage and peppers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't that awesome?
Yeah.
That was awesome. Okay, so next, insinuation of food more than food porn is at minute 29. Henry Hill has ascended into the mainstream world of middle to upper middle class mafioso. And he is currently doing what mob guys do, which is trying to get laid and spending a lot of money. Goes on an awkward double date with his buddy, Tommy, with his future wife, which surprisingly in a movie, they don't get along at first, Jer.
Yeah.
So unusual for a love story in the movies where they don't get along at first, but then end up together.
But also like kind of great.
Mm-hmm.
Made it perfect. But he was I think what Scorsese was trying to do there was to say that he was so wrapped up in becoming a gangster that everything else was just peripheral. That he didn't notice this beautiful woman, Lorraine Bracco, another Sopranos person. She played Dr. Jennifer Melfi. He didn't notice this beautiful woman because he was so, I got to get to this place. I got to do this thing. I got this thing I got to do. He couldn't care. He was not even interested at all. And he, Pesci was just trying to get laid.
Yeah, and that brings us to the second double date. They actually make it to a second date on this one.
Yeah.
Henry Hill stands her up, and it's an incredibly funny scene the way that Scorsese did it, because Pesci they all have meals in front of them. Pesci, his girl, and then Lorraine Bracco, Karen, she has a meal. Karen and her friend are not touching their meals at all because they feel weird that Henry has stood her up. Pesci, though,
he's just going
for it, just like undaunted. He's like, he has no idea that what he's doing is perhaps rude or inappropriate for the situation, and he's ignoring all of these stares from the other two women about how awkward it is that Henry has stood her up and how sad she must feel, and he is just shoveling that food in his mouth like a true foodie, true lover of food, and with the ruthlessness of a mob killer.
And that's kind of setting his character up, right? He is ruthless. He doesn't have that kind of emotion. And, it's like we talked about before, it's like eating while getting fired. It's just a bit of it's a bit of a power move.
It's a disrespectful way to eat.
It's disrespectful. He's just, all right.
I feel terrible.
Yeah, he's commiserating.
It's funny.
Eating while getting fired is good. Eating while commiserating is really good.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was similar to when Elaine in Seinfeld is visiting her guy in the hospital who has just been through some kind of a surgery where they thought he might die. Yeah. And she's eating the candies, the Junior Mints. Yeah. And he's like, wait a second, when did you get the... No, he's telling her about, I almost died this night. She's like, oh, that's too bad. I said, wow, really? It's just disrespectful, man.
Yeah, it's great. It's very funny.
Minute 31, here we go. Of the many famous shots that Scorsese has done, is any shot more famous than the Steadicam shot through the restaurant in minute 31?
I can't think of any that I would say is more famous than that shot. That's a great shot. It's inspired, or so many other shots in film remind me of this shot, and I think we in Pulp Fiction we talked about that scene where they're talking about the massage, and it's that single pan shot as well. Like, this shot is the shot that birthed all those shots in my mind. I don't think that's true, but it's the one that I always compare a lot of the other ones to.
Yeah. Even to this day, it's just incredible, I mean, the amount of takes they must have had to do, because everything looks just perfect. All the timing of the actors looks normal and natural. No one F's up. It's just a beautiful thing when you see all those people coming together and doing something that incredible.
Yeah.
Without any CGI. And the thing is, with no CGI, though, that's what makes it just amazing.
Yeah. And it really tells a good story. It tells a story about who Henry Hill is, how he operates, how he schmoozes, how he moves through, how people do things for him. Everything he's been talking about up until this point in the film has now started to happen for him.
Absolutely. And as a viewer, it's the most seductive shot. It just completely seduces you. It makes you fall in love with this whole world, because you're right there. It's like, you're with Henry. You don't got to stand in line. I'm going through the kitchen, He's shaking everyone's hand. It's like you are that guy. And you're just effortlessly gliding through life, basically. And then it just, on the wide shot, you see table, the world is incredible that you've just entered. It was sort of like you're going through a birth canal or something. But like you just effortlessly get in there, and you want to be there. You want to be there, and you feel like if life could be like this, life would be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. And it makes you feel like there's a lot. He lives a very fast-paced action, kind of lots happen to him. And just you want to be that guy. He's the man right there. That's pretty cool.
That's an I'm the man shot, which I think we should start keeping track of in movies.
I'm the man shot. That's a good
I'm the man shot. Yeah, that's a great I'm the man shot.
Yeah.
Whew, I got fired up, man. All right, let's go.
Yeah, great scene.
Just tremendous. Minute 36 is a bit. It's a bit of a letdown. It's not as important, but we still got to identify the food and just keep going. But I identified at minute 36, Karen's impressed that someone sent champagne to their table.
And the champagne is Dom Perignon.
I was going to ask you about this because you had opinions about champagne the last time in the French Dispatch.
So we talked about, and in Four Rooms, we talked about, two of the biggest champagne houses are Louis Roederer. They make Cristal, and Dom Perignon makes Dom. And Dom Perignon is the original champagne. It's, it's expensive. It's premium. It's, it's the quintessential bottle of Dom is kind of the high-end champagne. And if you're buying somebody a bottle of champagne and you want to buy them a nice bottle of champagne, you buy them a bottle of Dom Perignon. So that's kind of, that. It's a symbolic thing.
How much Dom Perignon have you had in your life, do you think? How many bottles?
In my life, how many bottles? I wouldn't say more. I've had one vintage bottle of Dom Perignon. With champagne, you have to distinguish between, they don't necessarily bottle a single vintage. They keep, in order to maintain the same flavor from, if you buy a bottle of Dom Perignon now versus a bottle of Dom Perignon 10 years ago, it'd be hard to tell the flavors apart because they mix vintages to keep it kind of level. But vintage Dom is a single year of Dom. If it's a good year, they'll bottle some of that year off just so that they can have it and charge more for it. So I've had one bottle of vintage Dom in my life, and then I probably had like 1.5 bottles the rest of my life. I don't drink very much champagne.
Okay, I don't think I've had any, which I feel like the number of bottles of Dom Perignon you've had in your life is some kind of measure of success. So I'm going to try to up my bottles of Dom Perignon consumption moving forward. I don't think it's right that I've never had a bottle of Dom Perignon. Like, am I really living life if I've never had a bottle of Dom Perignon?
When we reach 100 followers, we'll have that bottle.
All right.
Let's set a realistic milestone.
Let's go. I really thought you were going to say like 1 million followers. I really did. It's like 100. Okay. Let's do that.
At 1 million, we'll have Dom Perignon on our yachts.
That's good. Okay. I love speaking these things into existence.
Put them out in the world.
Keep them coming, man. I'm into it. Minute 45, Karen is arguing with her parents because, once again, Henry has not come home.
We missed the wedding cake.
Oh, sorry about that.
Sorry. And the wedding is an important scene.
Well, go for it, Jerry. Yeah, minute 41, multi-layered wedding cake at Henry's wedding.
Yeah, we've met all the characters previous. Like they talked to Henry Hill went through all the mobsters, so you see them all. They all kind of move around as a family. They all go together to weddings, and they're all in the same room. And in this scene, the thing that kind of ties everyone together is she's now talking about meeting she's talking about meeting all of Polly's relatives, and they're all either named Mary or Paul or Peter. Or something, or maybe not Peter.
Oh yeah, all the women are named Marie. All the guys are either Paul or Peter. Yeah, I think it was Paul and Peter.
They're saints. Yeah. And so,
hey, shout out to Paul's out there, holding strong.
And then the other thing in the scene is everyone's giving a boost, which is the wedding money. Right. And so they give it in this bag, and it's just envelope after envelope after envelope after envelope after envelope. And she's like, well, what about the bag of money? And Henry's like, don't worry, no one's going to touch that. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
it really shows the cultural difference of her being Jewish and him being Italian.
Yeah. When she just doesn't understand like what this is, what a boost is. And it's an important part in Italian culture. And they do this at weddings. But yeah, and then the wedding cake is spectacular.
Incredible wedding cake.
Yeah.
Man, wedding cake is actually one of my favorite foods. I love wedding cake. And I wish I could, I know it's just slab cake with a bunch of frosting on it, but I absolutely love it, man. It's so good. And that kind of elasticy type, because they seal it with the frosting so they can last for decades, right? What do they call that? Fondant or something?
Fondant, yeah.
Yeah, the elasticy fondant that forms the seal. I like that for some reason. I just really find it. The texture is really appealing to me.
All right, hot take. Paul likes a good seal.
I like a good seal. How was your wedding cake? Was it spectacular?
Did not have one.
No. Okay. I'm not going to ask why.
Well, we opted to have a make your own sundae bar.
Oh, well, that sounds nice. Yeah. All right.
I just feel like I'm not a big cake guy. Like,
you're a pie guy.
Yeah, I like certain pie. Key lime pie.
Okay.
Key lime pie is my favorite dessert in the spectrum of desserts. But also, I just like at a wedding, now everyone's got to stop. I'm not a big wedding guy either. So my wedding was very not prototypical.
Are you the Grinch? Are you the Grinch?
No, I just like...
You don't like cake, you don't like a lot of pies, and you don't like weddings.
I don't like a lot of the traditional stuff that goes into it. Like, when
You don't like pageantry? You don't like pageantry?
I don't like pageantry for pageantry's sake.
Okay.
At a wedding, this is a good example.
A wedding is a celebration of love.
Sure.
That's the pageant. That's what the pageant is. And you don't like that?
And I'm all there for the
You don't like love?
Hey, hear me out. Perfect example.
You better stop in the name of...
I'm going to give you an example. I'm sure you've been to a bunch of weddings. And when you've been to a bunch of weddings, and then you have the wedding, and then they corral you into the hall, and you stand there awkwardly for a little bit. Then they force you to sit down. And then you have to watch as all the groomsmen and bridesmaids, who you don't even know, who you barely care about, they come in and do like a dance.
Yep.
What the hell is that? Like, you're wasting my time. I want the dinner.
Yeah.
I want to see maybe a speech or two. I don't mind the speeches. But again, with the speeches, one speech per side.
How do you feel about the groomsmen and the bridesmaids trying to be funny stand-up comedians with their speeches? Are you through with that? Are you done with that?
Unless you are funny, like my group, like I said, one speech per side, or like family groomsmen per side is tolerable, and keep them short.
Four speeches in total.
Yeah, 4 speeches in total, and
that's enough. I think everyone's good with that.
If you two have to make a speech for your wedding, go ahead, but. Don't do anything more than that. Don't get your grandmother up to say some crap that I don't care about. Literally, if you're not funny, say something meaningful and get off. Get out of it.
Okay.
My groomsman, very funny guy. Gave a great speech. Everyone remembered it. My wife's brother spoke up for her, or sister-in-law spoke for her. And she said something meaningful and beautiful, and everyone was like, "Oh." And there were some couple of little jokes in there that were funny, but not she didn't do when they go up and they do a song or a rap, and it's like, guys, just stop.
Okay,
let's get on with it. I want to eat.
What about the phenomenon of funny PowerPoints now with the montage of photos and these making funny comments about it? That's a thing now.
Great. Yeah.
No,
all right.
You're not having it. Okay.
No.
All right.
And then now I got to watch you cut cake. So at my wedding, I was like, I'm not doing any of that crap. We're getting married. It's going to be nice. It's going to be beautiful. The food is going to be spectacular. And that is what we did. Because look, when you leave a wedding, no one's like, oh my God, wow. That balloon decoration was great. No. Everyone's like, when you leave a wedding, they're like, wow, that food was trash. Or, oh, wow, that food was really good. People still talk about my wedding because of the food.
What'd you have?
There were a lot of things. French onion soup dumplings.
Whoa.
Yeah, oh yeah. We did fried chicken. We did, there was a slow roasted short rib. Just all good stuff. And then the sundae bar at the end, and grilled cheeses and stuff,
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah.
So this is how I envision weddings.
Okay. No cake. A lot of food though.
Yeah.
That's Jeremy's wedding tips. And I respect it. I think it's a great plan. Except I do want the cake. I think.
Hey, you like cake?
Yeah.
If you
I love cake.
if you enjoy cake and you like a wedding cake, it seems, have a
Well, the thing
wedding
is,
cake.
you can't go out and buy yourself a cake. That's ridiculous. You're a grown up. You know what I mean? You can only eat cake when it's presented to you at a function. You know what I mean?
Have you ever had a deep and delicious?
When I was 14, yeah.
Yeah,
I used to take out an entire cake in one sitting.
That
Glass
was
of milk?
That was the
Are
cake.
you kidding me?
That was the cake you could do that with.
Hell yeah. I don't think I've had a cake in a year. I'm going to get some cake today. I don't think I've had a cake in a year and a half. It's been way too long.
Yeah, go out and get like a mini cake. They make smaller cakes.
Well, the thing is, I always think I can't buy a cake. I'll just get a cupcake, which is not the same thing, even though it's got cake in the name and we know it's not. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like a deconstructed cake. It's not the same. I like a cupcake.
Everyone likes a cupcake, Jeremy. They're amazing.
But it's not a cake.
It's not a cake.
No.
It's so close, though. Why? And also, I'm getting these Tim Hortons muffins for breakfast a lot, which are...
That's cake.
I mean, they are cake. They are cake. What am I...
Cake.
They're frosting less cake.
Yeah.
I got to sort this cake situation and we'll get back to you. Anyway, minute 45, Karen is arguing with their parents. Oh, did we just go through this? No, we didn't.
No, we had to jump back to the wings. Yeah.
Yeah, so minute 45, Karen is arguing with her parents and she is waiting for Henry to come home. He doesn't. Well, he has not been coming home for a while. He does come home. Mom answers the door, starts yelling at him. He laughs and walks away.
Yeah.
Karen is upset at the mom for yelling. And then the mom yells, "Leave your father alone. He hasn't been able to digest a meal in 6 weeks."
Yeah, which sucks.
That sucks.
Karen's mom, played by Suzanne Shepherd, who played Carmela's mom in The Sopranos. So a very famous actress. She's amazing, and great in The Sopranos, and actually pretty damn good in this too. Like, plays the angry mom to a T in this, which I liked.
Yeah, she was very convincing as angry mom.
Yeah,
and I think Lorraine Bracco, after this movie, she must have been just mentally exhausted because all of her scenes are so. It's just her yelling most of the time, or just working herself up into an emotional mess, or she's being paranoid. Like, the emotional toll it must have taken on Lorraine Bracco must have been just, unless that's just what she's like. She's cool with that.
She's an interesting lady. I've seen her in interviews or heard her in interviews, and she's very bubbly. Like, she's a very personable person. She's not who she is in this, and nor in The Sopranos. Like, she's very kind of bubbly, flirtatious. At least in the interviews, she could totally not be that, but that's what I perceive her to be.
Because in every role I've seen her in, she just has this simmering intensity, which I thought was just part of her how she was as a human. But I'll watch some interviews, because if you say she's just a happy, bubbly person, I'll take a look.
She's very much an actor. Like, she's an actor's actor, in that she's kind of got that kind of interesting way of talking, and she's a little bit loopy at times, it seems. But she is, I'm surprised she wasn't in more stuff that I'd have seen. I'm sure she was. But I think she was in the movie Hackers with Matt Lillard. I believe she was in that. But that's the only other
I know
place.
she was in Medicine Man with Sean Connery, underrated film of the 90s, by the way. And very good in that. Very good, yeah.
She was big in the
Hackers.
She was big in the 90s, I think, but she's awesome, and she's just like she's explosive on screen, man. Yeah. She has so much charisma. It's really impressive. And she helped carry The Sopranos for so many seasons. Like, she was like one of my favorite characters on that show, for sure.
Yeah, it really goes to show, in a role like that where it's just her sitting in a room talking, you have to have someone in there that you just can't take your eyes off of.
Yeah.
And she has that.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Minute 58, one of the more significant, I think, as far as character goes, scenes in the movie. After an altercation with Billy Batts in a bar, where he disrespectfully told Joe Pesci to go get your shine box. Billy Batts gets beaten.
Yeah.
And they get shot, beaten, and Jimmy, Tommy, and Henry throw him in the back of the car, and they're about to bury his lifeless body, but they have to stop off at Tommy's mother's house to get the shovels.
Typical
They wake her
Italian mother.
Typical. They accidentally wake her up, and just like a typical Italian mother, she will not let these men leave without feeding them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Billy Batts, played by Frank Vincent, one of the great villains in The Sopranos, Phil Leotardo. And just great actor, great mob actor. He's done a lot of mob stuff. And awesome in this. I
think he's only done mob stuff. I've never seen this guy not in a mob movie.
I've seen him he's done some Guy Ritchie stuff where he was kind of mob, but maybe not mob. And he did a couple, wasn't he in Get Shorty? But I think he played a mobster in that too. Yeah, never mind.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but Frank Vincent, great actor.
As far as the food goes, I think this food is very symbolic, though, of the fact that Jimmy and Tommy are basically sociopaths. They just killed a dude in cold blood, and now they have no problem just eating this entire spread of pasta. But Henry, I think it's hard to know because this is based on Henry's memoir, whether he's painting himself in a good light or not. But Henry is really unable to kind of eat. He's only eating a little bit to be polite, but he's lost his appetite after going through this murder. Yeah. But it's it shows the character. In that meal, you see how each the characters are different. Henry is different. He's in this world, but he doesn't have the same, I guess, stomach for violence as Jimmy and Tommy do. Jimmy and Tommy, for Jimmy and Tommy, violence just seems extremely casual. Yeah. And for Henry, it's sort of like more of a necessary evil. He'll do it. He's not happy about it. But for Jimmy and Tommy, those guys, it's almost like taking out the trash for these guys. They can do that and just sit down and go ahead and talk to Tommy's mom and eat a meal like it's nothing, right?
Well, Henry's also more even-tempered. But when Henry loses his temper, like we saw earlier with the guy, that tennis guy, you just wanted him to get his ass kicked. That like Lorraine, he laid a beating on that guy pretty good. So when his temper flares, of course, but Tommy is all temper, right? Like he's just Pesci is all temper all the time, and Jimmy's more
but the thing with Tommy, though, he's like a gregarious, funny, happy-go-lucky guy most of the time, but there's something about him where, if you set him off, it's such a Jekyll and Hyde thing with
he's
that
mercurial.
Guy.
Like he's very much like he can go hot and cold very quick, right? Like he's just he's all personality though. And Jimmy's more like the quiet, like Jimmy's the scarier one because he's almost like the quiet killer. Like Tommy, you could set him off, but De Niro's just plays that very cool, and which is even more sociopathic. And in The Mob, it was the same way. It's it's been the same way, and you see this in a lot of different mob stories, and you hear this in real life. There are some guys like Paul Castellano, who was a mob boss before. I think it was prior to John Gotti. He was more of an accountant kind of guy. Like he was more of a Henry kind of guy who would run a good scam or a good racket versus a guy like Sammy the Bull, who was more of a heavy. Like he was, maybe more of a hitman or Meyer Lansky, who was a hitman kind of guy. Right? Like there were guys that did a lot of wet work, that did a lot of killing. And then there were guys that maybe didn't do as much killing because that just wasn't their taste. They were more in the organized crime element of it. So as in the mob, as in life, there are heavies and there are, people who are in it for the money.
Yeah. As the street guys say, there's shot callers and there's shooters,
Yeah, that's it.
So at a certain point in that scene, Jimmy goes for the ketchup on the table. Did you know why he was going for the ketchup? It seemed like they were eating pasta, which I don't think he would put ketchup on pasta, would he? That would be a travesty.
I didn't know what they were eating. It looked like, I thought they were eating eggs at one point. Like it looked like they were eating scrambled eggs, in which case, I could put ketchup on that all day. But
okay.
But if it was pasta, it's weird, especially if you're an Italian to do that.
It couldn't have been on the pasta, right? Yeah.
But I don't know. Or if he was having a steak, some guys like steak with ketchup, which is messed up to me.
Oh, no. Yeah. Really? I didn't think those guys still existed, but I haven't met every guy. So
Donald Trump, allegedly.
Okay. Listen, everyone under 40 out there, this is just little advice. Never put ketchup on your steaks. Let's grow up as a generation. Can we?
I'm
Please.
gonna say though,
Uh,
I've never tried it.
mhm.
So
So
maybe
you're a ketchup steak virgin, is what you're saying.
maybe I should.
You want to pop your cherry, your ketchup steak
The
cherry.
thing is like I couldn't ruin I wouldn't want to ruin the steak with it. Like that's why I've never tried it, is because like I would never think to do it.
Yeah,
Like when I see a steak, I'm like, I'll put mashed potatoes on that and eat that. That's great.
yeah.
But
yeah.
like not, I just don't. I don't like sauce on my steak.
So it doesn't even register in your mind as a possible.
No.
Like you can't even. You wouldn't even think to do that.
No, I don't even put barbecue sauce. I just like, I like a steak to taste like a steak.
Me too. I don't put anything on my steak either. I've only started eating steak recently, actually. For the first half of my life, I never really liked it.
Not a big beef guy.
No, I just didn't like the texture of it. I was big into burgers, love burgers, but
Okay.
but then finally I ate a really. This is what happened when you don't eat steak or you don't like steak. This is someone will say, "Oh, we're getting steaks. How do you like your steak?" I'll be like, "No, I'm good." I don't. And they're like, "You don't eat steak?" I'm like, "No, I don't eat steak." And
then
they
it's
ask you
gone
why,
to-
and they ask you if you eat beef, and I was like, "No, I eat beef, but I just haven't had really. I've never had a good steak." And then this is what they do. Oh, you got to try my steak. Let me make you a steak.
Yeah.
It's the exact same conversation 1,000 times. And then I eat their steak and I don't like it. And then it reinforces my own bias and the vicious cycle continues.
Yeah. But now you're saying you're getting into it, or you kind of
Right. I finally did have a good one. And then it convinced me, oh, you can make this well. And it was really good, actually.
Where
And
did
so
you
then
have a good steak?
my friend's house, I was going through the exact same cycle. I said, no, I don't eat steaks because I'm having a good one. He says, let me make you a steak. I did. It was incredible. Loved it. And so then I've slowly I eat steak maybe, I don't know, once a quarter, I would say.
It's probably a good thing not to eat it too much. It lodges right into your colon. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I eat a lot of vegetarian to kind of make up for that. So
Nice.
one steak a quarter.
Hey, that's
It's pretty good for me.
That's good.
What's your cut for steak? What do you like?
I'm a New York strip guy.
Okay. Is that a bone in? I don't know what that is.
It can be, but usually not. It's got less fat and sinew in it. It's got a fat ring. It's off the loin, so it's a strip loin. So when you look at a T-bone, there's the ribeye or the fillet, and then the loin, the strip loin. So it's off the rib. I think. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, New York strip I like. Ribeye is good too. Fillet is good, but New York.
Aged, not aged. What do you got for aged?
I've actually tried like a really aged steak, and I was like, it doesn't satisfy me the same way that a regular, just normal aged steak would. So just standard aging practices. But good fat marbling has to be there. All that.
I don't know if this is a food incident or not, but it's a very kind of iconic scene. At 1 hour, 8 minutes in, it's the scene where Tommy is frustrated with Spider. Spider is not giving him his drink quick enough. And then things kind of escalate where they go back and forth. And then Tommy works himself up into a lather and accidentally shoots Spider in the foot.
Yeah. Spider.
This all was the catalyst for the entire shooting was the fact that Spider did not deliver Tommy's drink fast enough. Have you ever been so angry that your drink has not arrived fast enough that you would consider violence or possibly even shooting someone in the foot?
No, I don't think so. Not violence. Maybe a stern talking to. That would probably be the extent of it. I like drinking, but I just don't think I like drinking that much. Yeah, I don't know. Spider played by Michael Imperioli, Christopher from The Sopranos, Christopher Moltisanti. I think this was one of his first roles in Hollywood, and he is a phenomenal actor and great in this as Spider, kind of the stuttering, bumbling guy, and then later on when he goes, "You Tommy" or whatever. Sorry, this is from the movie. F you Tommy. I think that was he's just great in this. It's a short little bit role, but it helps sell Tommy's character well. So great scene.
Yeah, and in a movie full of great faces, Imperioli's got a great face.
Yeah.
Very good face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we come to, in my opinion, this is my food porniest in the film. It's at 120. It's the prison meal.
Yeah.
This
is
most
what
people have seen this movie. Yep. Go
what
ahead.
I was alluding to before. One of my favorite food scenes in any movie is this scene.
This is the food scene that I think. This is the first movie I've seen where I was like, whoa, I like what I'm seeing as far as food goes. So I didn't know what it was. I didn't realize it was food porn at the time, but this was my very first experience with food porn in a movie. I remember the cutting of the garlic years later. It's so visceral. You see, and you can imagine what it would taste like. The garlic dissolves in the olive oil, and they've got the meatballs, veal, beef, pork, all the cheeses, and the meal is so important to them. You feel it as an audience member. You viscerally feel you can almost taste it. I feel like it's just, yeah.
Everyone has a job. Like Paulie cuts the garlic so thin that it liquefies in the pan, which I don't think happens, but sure.
No, I've tried it. I've
never seen it happen in my life.
Nope.
But
we've all tried it though. We've all tried it.
Oh yeah, because it's awesome. With the razor blade, just cutting the garlic. That's great. But that little detail about that just shows how meticulous everyone is about the food and about the, making the sauce. How many onions you put in there. Don't put too much onions in the sauce. I only put 3 little onions in it. 3 onions. It's, and then they talk about the different meats. Because the thing is with meat sauces, you can't just have one meat. You got to have a couple different meats in there to get different varying flavors.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of meats do you put in?
So, and if I'm doing a meat sauce, I'll usually use just pork and beef. Pork gives it the fat, and beef gives
ground.
Yeah, ground.
Okay.
And I guess I can spill the beans here. I was gonna do it a little later, but because I think they're doing meatballs here too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Meatballs are going to be our meal of the week. So I will put a recipe in the caption below, and it will be for my meatballs. So please enjoy.
Oh, I say this every week. I'm going to make that recipe. That sounds delightful, but I might make that one. I can't guarantee it, but I love a good meatball, and I know you can definitely have a good recipe for a meatball. So,
and within a meatball, you want to use 2 different kinds of meat at least, just to get that varying of flavor.
Yeah, and the fat level as well. But I think that the use of the way that it's put together with the montage. This one really reminded me of Jules and Jim. It seems like, because in that movie, so much, the way it's structured is like a lot of time goes by and the narration talks about extremely significant events, like an entire war happens just in a voiceover. And then the actual scene, that's like a normal scene with people talking and all, they talk about mundane things. You know what I mean? So it's strange that way, how you can have a scene like this where it's about food, but it's really about, I guess, it contributes to the romanticism of the gangster life, which this film is going through. Like, even when we're in jail, it still looks awesome.
Yeah.
Look at this meal.
Yeah.
We
don't live like anyone else in jail, and we live well. And then I like it when he comes in with the bottles of, he comes in with the bread and the wine, and he's like, oh, great, now we can eat. Because we have the final, they can't have a meal without wine. It's a very Italian thing. Yeah.
It looked like an amazing meal. It really did.
And it looked like they had a great life in prison.
Imagine a life where your entire day is focused around your meal. That sounds like paradise to me.
Sounds good. And, prison's probably not great either way, but I think in the beginning when Henry's talking to Karen, his wife, and she's like, oh, I don't want you to go to prison. He's like, only idiots go to prison. You only go to prison if you want to go to prison. And leading up to this point, like him and Karen had been kind of spreading apart a little bit. He kind of wanted to go to prison. Like Paulie wanted him to go to prison, right?
Do you think he subconsciously sabotaged himself to get away from his wife?
Yeah, I think, and also like Paulie and Jimmy had that conversation with him and said, you got to go back, and he didn't want
Hmm.
to. So then, boom, sent him
So
down to Florida, and that whole thing went belly up. And I think it was, it could have been a bit of self sabotage.
so you think this is sort of like the coyote chewing off his own leg to get out of the trap that he perceives, like it's a psychological trap?
If my overthinking hat is on, yeah, maybe. I mean, why say that before, right?
Interesting.
Unless he was just placating his wife.
That's a really good take. I didn't think of that, but maybe he did self-sabotage himself. I've seen that a lot. I've done that a few times. I mean, I think we've all have.
Yeah.
It's easier to kind of sabotage than to actually fix a problem sometimes, I think. 1 hour, 30 minutes in, they're planning the famous Lufthansa heist, which was the biggest heist in U.S. history at the time. And one of the members of the crew is a guy named Johnny Roast Beef. Do you...
Well,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know I can't figure out why his name was Johnny Roast Beef, but I love the nicknames that mobsters have. Like when they.
I was going to ask you, how do you think this man got the nickname Johnny Roast Beef?
I don't know.
What did he do? What did you do, Johnny?
I
need to know what you did.
Or he's got I forget what he looked like, but if he had like roast beef jowls or something, maybe. But usually it's something funny about, you know what I mean? Like, but the mob nicknames like Whispers or like
Johnny Two Times.
Johnny Two Times. And the nicknames are fantastic in mob movies.
Well, I was thinking about Johnny Roast Beef, and I'm like, okay, I know how people get nicknames. It's usually not. It's usually making fun of somebody for something,
Yeah.
Or you're so good at something, like Johnny Baseball or whatever. So in my mind, I was hoping Johnny Roast Beef got the nickname Johnny Roast Beef because he made a really good roast.
Just
beef.
made a heck of a roast beef.
It was just incredible roast beef maker, and they just call him Johnny Roast Beef. That's the best case scenario in my mind for a guy whose nickname is roast beef. Worst case scenario, he smelled like roast beef.
Yeah,
so
you don't want to be that guy.
Oh, brutal. Yeah.
Or maybe he just likes roast beef. Like maybe
that would be the second best scenario.
Whenever he goes to the deli,
like every day for lunch. Yeah.
Or if he's going out, he's only going to those places that have that roast beef carving guy. The table side roast beef.
Love that guy.
Now, do you didn't like steak? Did you like roast beef?
Not a huge fan of roast beef. No.
It's usually a bit raw, right?
Yeah, it's just the texture. I feel like I like meat that's soft, and roast beef I feel like is a little too gamey, a little too.
There can be some sinew in there.
Yeah. I like it's more of a texture thing.
At the hot take here at Scotiabank Arena or Air Canada Centre, whatever people in Toronto want to call it, best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Fresh shaved. Usually fairly raw. Like they're ballsy with it over there. Shout out Scotiabank. I think it's Cherry Street that does it there now. Great roast beef sandwich with horseradish. You can put a little of that on. Oof. Mm-hmm. I think about it sometimes, like when I'm just home alone at night. I will think about that sandwich.
I love that. I love when you have something so good and then you think about it later.
Yeah.
You think about how good it was. Yeah, that's a good feeling.
And it's a sports venue. So it's like, why would this be one of my favorites? I don't know. It just is very good.
Oof. So this is probably the most important, I think, use of food in the movie.
Yeah.
In that it's part of the day when Henry finally unravels.
He's getting followed.
Yes, he's juggling so many things and he's getting followed and he's doing so much cocaine that his world is just kind of spinning out of control. He's like a juggler and he can't keep these balls in the air.
Yeah.
And they make a very good point of discussing he's taking his brother home to visit and he's making him like this gigantic meal. And let's get into the meal. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
We got braised, because this voiceover actually says what the the meal is going to be. So it's braised beef, pork shanks, and tomato sauce, ziti with meat gravy and roasted peppers, string beans with olive oil and garlic, and some beautiful cutlets which look like veal.
Yeah.
And he's also making meatballs.
Yeah.
This looked incredible.
Yeah.
This one looked
an Italian
incredible.
feast. I love the other recipe I wanted to do, and I might still do it. You might get two, who knows, is a baked ziti. I love a baked ziti. And meatballs here. You know, you see him making the meatballs. Just looks like an Italian feast to me.
Wow. Can you imagine how soundly you would sleep after that meal? With all those carbs and salt and olive oil.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Man.
You need the red wine with that meal just to kind of cut through all that.
Oh, yeah. You need a little bit of that acidity for sure. That's key for that meal. Absolutely. They were having veal cutlets for an appetizer, for God's sakes.
Yeah. That's the way they got the primi, the secondi, all the different courses they eat. It's like, if you've ever seen Italian Thanksgiving, it's insane. I don't think I could make it. You know what I mean?
Dude, you know what you just did? You just made the next great viral Netflix movie series, Italian Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
And it's just everyone's different Thanksgiving?
No, it's just literally just Italians on Thanksgiving. Like all the Thanksgiving tropes, but the food is Italian. And you got, family member stuff, drama happening. That's the movie. That's the title of the movie. We can work backwards from there, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
But Italian Thanksgiving coming to Netflix soon, ladies and gentlemen. If this podcast
we'll make it.
Off.
We need a bunch of Italians. So if you are Italian, don't hesitate to get in touch, and we'll have Thanksgiving.
Yeah, preferably if you have a nonna who is very good at cooking.
Yeah,
preference will be given to that.
Or if you are a nonna.
Nonnas are our first choice.
Yeah. Nonnas always come first.
Mm-hmm. So the food in this, so Henry is going throughout his day. He's paranoid. He's looking at a helicopter. He thinks it's following him. It is following him. He's dealing with these guns that he has to get rid of, which is not going his way. He's dealing with this shipment of cocaine, which is his mule, this lady who he's sending with the cocaine. She's giving him trouble.
Yeah.
He's got so much going on, but no matter how much things are spinning out of control, the meal has the exact same importance as all these other things, all these other very illegal things that he's doing.
Yeah. He just keeps calling, stir the sauce, stir the sauce.
Yeah, stirring the sauce. He mentions very quickly on similar phone calls, make sure the so-and-so is stirring the sauce. Then he calls someone else. Make sure you don't use the phone at home because the cops are listening. So stirring the sauce, almost as important as making sure someone doesn't do something irresponsible that would get them all arrested.
Yeah.
Well, I did mention that at the 2-hour mark. It's the same phone call. The same phone call where the sauce is. All the stuff I just said was the same phone call for those listening at home. So just a great one phone call involving food, a great illustration of the mindset and the casualness of the lifestyle this man is leading as a gangster, but also trying to actually just still be an Italian person and have this great meal. So how do you like that?
I like it.
So at 2:01, we actually see the meal. Looks magnificent. I think it really was built up a lot, but my God, it looked incredible.
Came together perfectly.
Now, at 2:07, in a very nice circular element of food being used as a visual device and as a storytelling device, Henry, after he gets he loses all his drugs in a raid. He's completely out of money. He comes to Polly hat in hand, begging for forgiveness. And Polly is cooking sausages exactly the same kind of way as when we first are introduced to Polly in the very beginning of the movie, when Henry is a young teenager.
Yeah.
About the bookending of the sausages in Henry's story from teenager to grown felon who's about to get thrown into witness protection.
It's interesting because we've seen this bookending happen in movies before, with food.
With food.
Yeah, we've seen it with food. So it's an interesting thing in films that people do, is using food as maybe a mnemonic device almost to help us remember that scene where, Paulie took him in versus Paulie turning him out. Or not turning him out.
Yes.
Turning him away. Turning him away.
Yeah. Man. I think just probably the best use of food as storytelling in the movie was that book ending. What are your thoughts on that? Or do you think otherwise?
That or the prison scene. I think the prison
also
scene...
good. Also good,
prison scene served a really good purpose. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Of telling you exactly what you said before. These guys live so large that even when they're in a situation where you can't live large, they're living large. Right?
Yeah.
Which I think is also important. But, interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. A great food writing exercise with the book ending of the sausages. Shout out to whoever wrote this, Scorcese and his co-writer.
It was a mob writer. It was like Puzo and what's the other, the Coppola.
Coppola. Yeah, it was the author.
Scorsese had his own Puzo there.
The author of the book helped him co-write the script. So shout out to both of them. And the last food moment in the film, which I thought was telling as a great character moment for Henry. At 219, he is now in witness protection. He has sold out all his friends. He is alone in this world now, cast out by himself and his family. And he complains that when he orders spaghetti with marinara sauce, he got egg noodles and ketchup.
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed to feel sorry for this guy.
Yeah.
But also, just a great use of food to communicate frustration and just explain what this man's life used to be and is now.
Yeah.
How low he's fallen based on food. The real, you know what I mean? Like, I used to do this, now I'm doing this. Look how low I have fallen.
Even in prison, he was eating better than now.
So this is actually worse than prison, possibly, for him.
Yeah, it's a fate worse than prison for him. He didn't want to be here, but he just couldn't help himself. He shot himself in the foot.
I do feel sorry for him a little bit. I must say, Ray Liotta is so charismatic that even though he's a bad guy, I did feel sorry for him.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
This movie was kind of an anti-hero, right? It's that rise of the anti-hero, which you love to watch him succeed, and you also love to watch him fail. Like it really culminated that way beautifully. So I think, and I think to your point, the book ending with the sausage was a really nice device, and then finishing with the crappy food where he's getting spaghetti with ketchup. It's sad.
It is sad. Anyway, now that we've gone through the chronology of the food in the movie, we're going to give out our food awards for the movie. So first award is, which character would you like to have dinner with? Jared, do you want some time to think about it, or should you have an idea?
You go first.
I got to say, it's a very, very close between Tommy, Joe Pesci's character, and Karen, Lorraine Bracco's character. Tommy, I think, would be an amazing guy to party with. Go to a restaurant, like, we're going to hit on waitresses, like, something cool is going to happen. But the problem is, someone could die at any moment with Tommy. If a waiter talks to this guy the wrong way, someone could die. So I'm not too thrilled with the danger element. Even though I like Tommy, I think his personality would be great to have dinner with and just to hang around, except for the murdering. That really bothers me. But with Karen, I just think she's just an incredible lady, man. You can just ferociously intelligent, gorgeous, tough.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to go on a date with Karen, Ray Liotta's wife. So I'm gonna go Karen, just for that reason.
And you're turning it into a date.
100% a date.
Okay.
But here's the thing: I would suss out the vibe first to see where she's at. And then I would decide whether or not it's a date or not. If I would just love to have dinner with her just as friends, honestly. Date would be number one, friends number two. You do what you got to do.
You got to take what you can get, right?
Take what you can get sometimes. She's Lorraine Bracco, for God's sake. She's Karen.
It's tough for me because I like you. I gravitate towards Tommy, but I also would like to make it through the dinner.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Paul Sorvino.
Paulie.
I feel like that would be, first of all, the dinner.
Paulie doesn't talk, dude.
The level of dinner would be beautiful. Like the
Yes.
quality of the meal would be beautiful. Because Paulie likes his food. We'd definitely be having sausage and peppers because Paulie seems to enjoy that. And, it wouldn't be, you're right. He doesn't talk. I don't need too much conversation. I want to eat, and I want to eat well, and I want to eat with the most powerful guy in Brooklyn.
So you just want to kind of like eat the food and just be around his energy. To kind of feel the man's energy.
Take it all in.
That's actually, that is pretty valuable. Like just what I do feel when you're around someone, you can kind of, even if they're not saying anything, just from their demeanor, you can really learn a lot.
Yeah, just he's pouring. Take some of this wine. It's beautiful. It's just like, it'd be great.
Would you like him to, at some point, give you the little slap on the face
Absolutely.
that he always gives Henry?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just
okay.
That like fatherly. Yeah. Of course. I'd be there for that.
Oh, I kind of want it too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of want it. God bless Paul. Hey, R.I.P. Paul Sorvino.
Yeah.
God bless that man.
Great actor. A lot of great actors in this. I didn't cover everyone from The Sopranos. We didn't get into every scene, but there's way more. And any other food things we need to do?
So second film award is, what is the best use of food in the movie?
I think I've already said mine.
You think the prison?
Yeah, the prison meal is just by far it's the most satisfying to me.
Here's the thing. I got
garlic cutting specifically.
I got to divide. I'm gonna go 2 awards for this one. I'm gonna go the most enjoyable use of food, prison garlic cutting.
Okay.
The best use of food, though, I'm gonna go with the bookending of the sausages to begin and end Paul and Henry's relationships.
And
relationship
merchandising opportunity for us. We create bookends made that look like sausages.
I'll get on Alibaba and get a source by the end of the week.
Okay. Oh yeah.
All right.
So hopefully,
parting thoughts.
Hopefully, we can have sausage bookends out to our viewers as soon as possible. Paul's on it.
Yeah, and as always, sausages that curve to the left are much better than sausages that curve to the right. That's just a proven fact.
Dog leg left.
Well, they're just better. Frankly, they're better. Closing thoughts on Goodfellas, Jer?
Yeah, it's. I mean, what more can you say about it? It's just iconic. It's just an iconic film. It's almost hard.
Oh, we got to do rating. Sorry, we got to do ratings. We got to rate it as a food movie and rate it as a regular movie.
Okay, so we'll cut that.
And we also have to decide what the food movie like rating system is. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, what did we? Oh, so food movie rating.
Yeah.
As a food movie,
we can do a new food every week if you want to.
Yeah,
as far as you know what I mean.
I got to give this one. Let's go out of 10. 10 being great, 1 being poo-poo.
No. We got to do 5. We're not doing. middle grounds.
Yeah. Right. You like it very. Yeah. 5.
Yeah, we don't fence sit on this podcast. It's a rating out of 5. There's no half stars or whatever's. It's either a 2 or a 3. Either recommend or don't recommend, or stop wasting my time.
All right. I will give this a, you know what, for me, this is actually a perfect 5 out of 5 brajoles.
Whoa.
Yeah.
For food or movie?
For food.
For food. And for movie also, I assume 5?
Well, I'm not going to be rating in brajoles for movie, right? Or am I?
No, well, whatever you want.
A movie, it's a 4.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not. It's going to be hard to give a 4 is very good in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I felt not much stronger, but stronger than Jer on this. I'm going to go 5 roasted peppers as a food movie, and 5 paper thin slices of garlic as a regular movie.
All right.
I just think the use of food was just masterful, magnificent, and as a film itself, also masterful and magnificent. It's at least tied or above every other movie out there, I would say. Or there's no other movie that's above this in class, I will say that much, as far as, you know what I mean?
Bold. Yet
Yeah, there's no league that this movie is not out of.
it's
That's what I'm
not.
saying.
It's not your favorite mob movie.
That's correct.
Interesting.
That's correct. Well, the mob movie genre, ever since The Godfather, I mean, you got Coppola and you got Scorsese, who are two of the best who've
They're
ever done it
titans.
making
They're
mob movies.
Titans, yeah.
Yeah. Until some, I guess, until Stanley Kubrick makes a mob. Did Stanley Kubrick make a mob movie? Oh, he made The Killing.
Yeah.
But
And
okay.
then what was that Coen Brothers movie you said?
Oh, Miller's Crossing.
Miller's Crossing.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to the Coen brothers, who are not known for making gangster movies, making one of the best gangster movies ever.
They make good movies, so that's what they do, right?
Yeah. Miller's Crossing. We should do Miller's Crossing. I hope there's food in Miller's
I know.
Crossing,
I want, like we were talking earlier, next movie I want to do a Coen Brothers movie, but maybe two mob movies in a row is a bit much.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Do we know what we're doing next movie?
We hadn't decided. We hadn't decided. Why don't you just call it? I'll go with whatever you want.
Okay, we're calling it. We are Annie Hall.
Annie Hall?
Yep.
Done. I love it.
We're going there. All right. This has been the Food and Movies Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Final thoughts by Jared. Oh, for me?
Yeah, final thoughts from you. We cut short on final thoughts just to do the ratings.
Right. Final thoughts for me is that as the podcast will go forward and we will get more and more famous and rich and more obnoxious, I assume, with all those things.
Yeah.
You will realize that I'm a very big fan of French New Wave movies. And the fact that this movie borrowed heavily, I think in a good way, from French New Wave, particularly Jules and Jim, which is one of my top 5 movies of all time, I just loved it for that reason. That was an extra layer of me loving it. It's a great movie on its own, but that kind of its DNA in film history, being a cousin of French New Wave, really took it over the edge for me as far as me being a grown person understanding that now. So my view of it as someone who has grown as a film lover and as a person, I think, I just wanted to mention that part of it, the French New Wave DNA of this movie that everyone should check out. Also, everyone should check out the movie American Boy. It's a documentary Scorsese made before he was famous, and it's literally an interview with this junkie that Scorsese knows, who was just an incredible character, just a character of a human being. But in the movie American Boy, that junkie tells a story of the scene in Pulp Fiction where they have to revive Uma Thurman with a needle was taken from a story from that documentary. So again, you see how artists talk to each other through their arts. Tarantino clearly saw that documentary, worked it into his movie Pulp Fiction, and it's just an amazing kind of unofficial collaboration, I guess, with Scorsese and Tarantino. So I would recommend that as far as Scorsese goes. But also, lesser known in American Boy is in the very beginning of the movie when the dude comes in, the junkie comes in, he wrestles with the guy who answers the door like 2 kids. He wrestles them for a good 2-3 minutes. And I think Tarantino also saw that and incorporated that into Reservoir Dogs, when Vic Vega wrestles with Chris Penn's character when he gets out of jail and then meets him in the office. So that is another subtle collaboration with Scorsese that a lot of people don't know about. So I'm just going to throw that out there as a little extra added value to the fans at home.
Excellent.
All 2.5 of you watching it or listening at home, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from you, Jer?
No, just saying that this is one of the, if you want to see a movie that showcases Italian food to the nines, this is, Goodfellas is the one for you.
Absolutely. This is also one last thing. Great food gangster watch as a pairing with The Godfather, which is also very food porny and about the Italian food. So, with that said, this has been the Food Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Paul. That's my friend, Jeremy. And we will see you next time, where we will be breaking down... I ran out of breath there. Where we will be breaking down the seminal rom-com 70s movie from disgraced director Woody Allen, Still a magnificent movie, even though the man has been disgraced. But we're going there. We're going to get into it, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Peace.